Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, a look at new Arizona laws impacting the state's business community and Arizona consumers. Also tonight, concerns over the future of Arizona's Historic Preservation Office. And new research looks at the positive impact that the nutrient choline has on Alzheimer's disease. Those stories and more next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your public television station.
I was doing some shopping and got a pop-up on my laptop. Computer had a virus. So I called the number on the page, and the guy on the phone wants to take control of my screen to sort it out.
Recognize fraud sooner, so your money lives longer.
This is a tech support scam.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. The recently completed state legislative session resulted in a number of laws that will impact the business community and consumers. And for a rundown of some of these new laws, we welcome Alexis Glasscock, an attorney at Fenimore Law. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Ted.
Yeah, good to see you. Okay, bills impacting businesses and consumers. Were there more or fewer this session?
Probably on par, about the same. There were some really good wins for the business community, that's for sure.
Okay, I want to get to some of the, I'm going to start with Chase Field because I don't think people realize that is a big deal in a variety of economic ways. Talk to us about this.
So really exciting, Ted. Basically, Arizona is able to retain the World Series champion baseball, the Diamondbacks team, and for the fans and for businesses downtown and the state in general, for tourism, this is a huge win.
Okay. The critics will say, though, that the research doesn't bear that out. Does the research bear that out? Because we keep hearing that, and yet we also hear it doesn't really make that much of a difference.
It makes a huge difference because Arizona is positioned trying to attract businesses from all over the country. And having a solid sports team here like the Diamondbacks, they almost won 2 years ago. There was great community spirit. Everybody was so excited. It does attract businesses, and it helps with a decision when they see the business community really supports their home teams. They want to have that when they relocate. And we see so many companies now moving to Arizona.
This redirects revenue, tax revenue, to the stadium district, which the money then goes to the team. Again, I'm going to talk about what critics are saying because I think they got a point here. Now, you got a very rich owner. You got a lot of rich going on here. Why are taxpayers paying for this?
So what's really great here is the public-private partnership, and the state is going to put in about 20 to 25 million a year, but the team itself is also going to have, they're going to bear the heavier part, and they will, in the past they spent 250 million. They're now going to, the total cost for these repairs is going to be about 500 million. So they're going to have significant investment. They'll have to finance that investment, but it will go to the average fans who are going to get to come in and now have air conditioning, which was really sort of lacking, especially in July and August. And then also during the spring, the roof will be able to open while there are people in the stadium. Another big win. They're going to put up a brand new state-of-the-art scoreboard. So those kinds of things and those upgrades to the facilities will cause more people to come downtown and see the new stadium and see the team.
Last point on this, I know that it's adjusted for inflation, so that kind of plays with the numbers a little bit there. The governor agrees with you. She thinks this is a great idea. The county, the city of Phoenix, not so much. What do you tell those who say that we shouldn't be paying for this kind of stuff?
Well, I think in the long run it comes back to the Arizona taxpayers, because ultimately what happens is it creates new businesses downtown. They also, what part of their plan is to bring in a hotel, more retail down there, so that grows the area, more apartments, more housing. All of that helps to really energize the Phoenix economy downtown. So I think it's a big win for Arizona in the long run. All right,
another law here, and you're going to have to explain this one to me here. Litigation financing and consumer protection, where the litigation financier can't info. What am I talking about?
So interesting. So this is really a law that was passed to create more fairness, because third-party financiers can come in and they can finance a plaintiff's litigation against a business or other defendants. And as a result, the party that is defending it is up against a bigger hurdle because of the amount of money. But the good thing about this bill is it puts in certain requirements so that it tempers the ability of the third-party financier to just control the litigation and cause the business to have insurmountable obstacles.
What kind of controls? Because if I want to go against Mr. Big over here and I need help with finances, what is now limited to me?
So what the third party, they cannot, and I'm just going to refer to them as that, they cannot go out and either give a referral fee to a lawyer, a law firm, or a healthcare provider for them to send a client to them. But also, as the financier, they can have no say in the selection of a lawyer, change of counsel, expert witnesses, or any type of litigation discussion strategy. And there's teeth in this, Ted. If the Attorney General, who oversees the Arizona Consumer Protection Act, sees that there's files a suit because thinks there's a violation, it's a $10,000 penalty for every violation. So one email, one text is easily asking about the status.
So the idea is your money's okay. You're a financier. This is what you do, but don't be messing around with the other stuff.
That's it, exactly. If it's going to come in, they want to be able to have a fair playing field for businesses to defend and develop a strategy against them.
All right, business personal property tax extension went from $207,000 to $500,000.
Right.
That's got to be a big win for business.
That's a huge win for business, and what that's going to allow is it'll have a multiplier effect in terms of generating more revenue in the economy, because as those businesses go out and buy more products, because they can now deduct it, whether it's supplies or materials, hopefully a lot of that will be supplied by Arizona businesses, and so it'll go back into the economy.
So capital, as you mentioned, capital renovations and improvements and these sorts of things. From 207 to 500, what was the reasoning behind these numbers in the first place?
I think it's really just the fact that they wanted to get to a point where there's a significant impact and more businesses are going to be attracted to that tax benefit when they're locating here.
All right, let's get back to athletics. NIL regulations for student athletes. Schools can't penalize the athlete? How did that, could they do it in the first place?
They could do it. For 100 years, the NCAA prohibited any type of compensation of student athletes. And interestingly, in today's Arizona Republic, David McCarville, an attorney, and KJ Russell at Fenimore wrote an article on this exact thing. Yesterday, there was a settlement that became effective in a federal case called House versus NCAA. But almost simultaneous with that, Arizona passed a law just in May stating that state universities can compensate athletes for their name, image, and likeness. Previously, they couldn't do that. So now both the court holding and the state law will allow universities in Arizona to do that, depending on where they fall.
And if I read this correctly, you can't say that the athlete is an employee. Why is that? That's
correct, because they don't want to have them taxed and have all of the implications, all the requirements of an employee. That would take away from some of the funds that are available. Just hiring an employee, as you know, there's a lot of taxes, et cetera, you have to pay. The idea is for the real gain here for Arizona is for our colleges can now go out and recruit state athletes, keep our athletes here that are great, but go to other states and also recruit them to come to our teams here. It puts us more on a level playing field with the Ohio States and the other big teams that can spend, now under this holding, they can spend $20.5 million from their general budget. Any college or university can do that to recruit athletes.
All right, and it has to be the NIL deals. They need to be confidential. Is that true?
They are, and there's a lot of requirements under the court holding, and they have to be. There's actually going to be a clearinghouse, a college sports commission that will look at all of these, and they will actually have Deloitte and another firm verify that it is the fair market value that the student athlete's being paid.
I remember hearing about that one. All right, before you go, this is interesting. Updating the statewide aviation plan. For what? For electric planes?
Yes. And this is really exciting because we're going to be a leader in the country on this type of technology. It's just emerging. And what the bill requires is the Arizona Department of Transportation will work with municipalities, with air carriers, with the FAA to develop a plan so that there's vertiports. And what they are is they're for electric planes that take off vertically and land, kind of like the Jetsons or the Incredibles, like that. And they'll have to be 300 pounds in weight and be able to carry cargo or passengers.
Wow. How did this, who crafted this? How did this thing come up?
So this bill is really, it's the latest technology, and it was brought to a member of the Senate for the reason that, for Senator Shope, the reason is that this technology is now emerging. There is one company in Florida that's trying to work on it, but Arizona wants to be the leader in it, and it'll allow us to have municipalities that have these. They're very small structures. They're like a helicopter pad, but they're different because they're electric, and they have charging stations by them. So they'll be able to take off with passengers or cargo and transport them around the valley or the state even.
Well, meet George Jetson indeed. Huh?
Exactly.
Oh, well, all right. I guess we'll see. And I guess Arizona wants to get ahead of the parade here, get first in line.
First to develop this technology, a leading technology.
Alexis, great conversation. Always a pleasure. Good to have you here.
Good to be here. Thanks, Ted. Appreciate it.
I'm Chef Mark Tarbell. Welcome to Check Please Arizona, the show where Arizona residents recommend their favorite restaurants. In this episode, we're checking out a barbecue joint, Southern Italian dishes, and Thai cuisine.
We really liked the balance between the sweet, the savory components.
It's Thai cuisine on a level you've just never seen before.
You can't make that up. That sounds so good. I'm so hungry.
Thank you for bringing us that knowledge.
Thursday night at 7 on Arizona PBS.
From the freezing tundras to the sweltering deserts, from verdant marshes to flowing rivers, Arizona is host to an enormous variety of habitats across the state. Due to this variety, Arizona has the highest biodiversity of any inland state and is home to more than 800 different fish and wildlife species.
Thursday night at 7:30 on Arizona PBS.
The State Historic Preservation Office identifies and protects historic and archaeological properties, but the office is looking at losing state and federal funding as early as next month. Joining us now is Jim McPherson, Volunteer Board President of the Arizona Preservation Foundation and Arizona Advisor at the National Trust for Historic Preservation. Good to have you here.
Thanks, Ted.
Yeah, thanks for coming on back. We're talking about the State Historic Preservation Office. What exactly is that?
This is a state agency. There's one in every state and territory, as well as tribal historic preservation offices. And what they do is make sure that projects that may influence historic buildings or archaeological sites are well planned for in the future. Water, infrastructure, highways, broadband. They all need a component to check on how they're affected by the history or the archaeology.
Okay, and now the office is facing a possible shutdown, and I mentioned it maybe as early as next month?
Yes.
What's going on here?
Okay. So when Congress appropriated funds to all the state historic preservation offices, they go to the agency. In this case, it's the Department of Interior. The department did not release the funds to the states, so the state historic preservation offices have been waiting for that money to be released for this fiscal year. Breaking news. It was released yesterday.
Oh.
So that's good.
What changed? Why was it released? Why wasn't it released?
It wasn't released because we're in new times, and the federal government is under new leadership, and they're taking a different look at things. But then strong lobbying, strong advocacy on the part of preservation advocates throughout the country helped for that release.
All right, so you're basically saying the Trump administration wasn't excited about this as previous administrations.
Correct.
Okay. They seem to be excited now. What got them excited?
Well, these projects, or this office, is involved in so many projects that have to do with economic development or tourism, or all these things that impact communities. There are 3 buildings here in downtown Phoenix, historic buildings, that would need to be reviewed to make sure that the new developers have a project that can work economically for them.
But I would know the Trump administration folks would say. They would say, that's great. Arizona, you pay for them. What about state funding?
So many states do provide much more funding than Arizona. The percentages are different state by state. Ours is 87% is done through the federal government, and the rest is through the state. But the state portion is really not hard dollars. It's volunteer hours for site stewards that help protect our archaeological sites. So we were asking for gap funding for this period before the next fiscal year, that funds can be used from the state parks revenue fund, which has significant monies.
Right.
That in case the money didn't come from the federal government, the state would pick up that portion for this fiscal year. And we didn't need to use that because the funds were released at the federal government level.
So the State Historic Preservation Office will survive. True?
true, but we have to think, all of us have to think about the next fiscal year.
Right.
The government, and this is education, public television,
Yes.
all factors have to now make their case to the federal government to make sure that the funding for next year
In making
happens.
your case, things like broadband, things like transportation, things you don't think about when you think historic preservation, those things are factors, are they not?
They're factors. I mean, we're talking about a staff of 12, 1.1 million, and these projects, including highways, would be in the billions. And if they're not reviewed properly here at the state, and they do a great job, they would have to go to the federal government. A small agency that's smaller than our state agency would have to review them, and all the projects in other states would have to go to this one agency, and that's going to hold things up.
Okay, so what's next in all this? What do you want to see done?
So the next phase is to really get with our congressional delegation on both sides of the aisle and really continue to express the benefits of a state historic preservation office, a state plan for preservation, and what it means not only for their district but for the state as well. We have next year, for the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, we have the 100th anniversary of Route 66. These are they're efforts that help build up our community, and they need to be staffed, and we all need to come together, but we need to do it together. And then also the factor that these projects are in so many rural communities. And we talk about how do we keep young people in rural Arizona. You need to have jobs, you need to have education, schools, but you also need to have a quality of life. And historic preservation is one of those things that really help to build community.
You bet. Jim McPherson, Arizona Preservation Foundation. Well, you made a pretty good case here.
Ted, I'd vote for you.
Thank you. Well, you got some big problems then if you're doing that. Thanks for joining us, and good to see you again. Thanks.
You bet.
I'm Amna Nawaz. Tonight on the NewsHour, we speak with House Republican lawmakers who support and oppose President Trump's mega budget bill. That's coming up at 6 on Arizona PBS.
ASU researchers are looking at choline as a factor in helping reduce the risk of Alzheimer's disease. And tonight, as part of our monthly AARP-sponsored segment that highlights issues important to older adults in Arizona, we look at the promising results involving choline. Ramon Velasquez is a neuroscientist at ASU's Neurodegenerative Disease Research Center. You guys and your titles, I tell you, good to have you here.
Good to have you, too. It's a mouthful, yes.
It is a
Thank you very
mouthful.
much.
Maybe I need some more choline. What is choline? choline?
That's a great question. First of all, thank you for having me. So
bet.
choline is a organic compound that's produced endogenously by our body, right? So our body, mammalian species, that means animals, other forms of animals, including humans, we can produce it. However, it's been noted based on multiple years of research that the amount you make within your body is not enough. So you need to actually consume it in your diet. You need dietary choline. Yeah.
Okay, dietary choline. What do we need to eat more of?
So what do you need to eat more of? It depends on what type of diet you're typically attuned to, right? So we know that there's individuals that are plant-based eaters. Some do eat animal products, some don't. The highest concentration of choline you will find in eggs, also in poultry, as well as in fish products like salmon, leafy greens, and also beans.
Interesting. All right, I saw broccoli listed.
Broccoli
That's
as well,
leafy
yes.
green. Okay.
Yes.
Is that enough? If I start eating broccoli every other day and salmon on the other day, is that going to be enough?
It depends, right? So what you need to do and what really we're trying to advocate here is there needs to be awareness, right? Most Americans are not reaching the recommendations that are required by the Institute of Medicine to get adequate choline, right? And there's actually numbers on this, right? So adult women require 425 milligrams of choline a day. Men require 550 milligrams of choline a day. Most Americans are not getting enough.
Interesting. All right. Is supplements, are they okay?
Supplements are available. So these are particularly important for plant-based eaters and for those in general that don't want to consume a lot of animal products because the animal products do have a higher amount of choline and they are available.
Okay. Can you have too much choline?
So in order to reach the amount that's considered toxic amounts of choline, you need to consume 6.5 times the recommended daily amount, which is about 3.5 grams. That's a lot of choline. The side effects of having too much choline include low blood pressure, and you also produce a fishy odor smell because of the metabolite, but those are the side effects, but it's very difficult to reach that amount.
The supplements, can you take a pill? Should you take a powder? What do you look for in these supplements?
So the supplements that are available in regards to choline are going to be in pill forms, and there's various different types, right? So there's choline chloride. That is the most common form that's available. It gets metabolized by your liver and then is circulating through your bloodstream and does have the ability to get up into your brain. There's also another form known as alpha GPC. It's a type of choline that is easier to get up into your actual brain. So we recommend alpha GPC as one of the most effective forms.
You mentioned gets up into your brain. How does it get up into your brain?
So the way it does that is by using ultimately our vasculature, right? The circulating throughout your blood, right? So if choline is processed by your stomach and then it makes its way into digestive tracts, it can be absorbed into your brain. In order to do that, there's actually transporters in what's called the blood-brain barrier, which protects from things that you don't want to get into your brain and getting in, and then choline is allowed to transport into the brain.
Wow, how interesting. And once it gets into your brain, does it affect neurotransmitters? What does it affect?
That is a great question, and that's what we've been finding, right? So when these recommendations were first established in 1998, we believe, well, the scientific field believed that it was predominantly related to fat metabolism in your liver. What we have found now is that it's important in creating chemicals in your brain that are important for learning and memory, higher order cognition. It also allows for building cell membranes, which are going to protect what goes in and out of your cells, and overall going to enhance cognitive function.
And I know from your research that if you take the choline and you get enough choline and you exercise, which seems like a panacea these days for everything, you're on a pretty good track.
Yes, that's actually, I'm glad you brought this up. I'm actually heading to a workout class after this, right? And what we have done in that regard, and there's a lot of research around this, is that combining lifestyle factors that are important, that are going to allow for reduction in a lot of metabolic dysfunction. So metabolic dysfunction, for example, includes disorders like diabetes, high blood pressure, things of that sort. Those are risk factors for disorders like Alzheimer's disease. If you can reduce those by one, exercising, and two, there is evidence that choline can actually buffer or reduce those aspects. The probability of having a prevalence for Alzheimer's disease goes down drastically.
Okay, are they on separate tracks or do they kind of work together? Hard to know. I mean, do we know that?
So do we know whether there's combined effects if you combine both? The literature there is a little thin. We are actually working on some of this with colleagues at ASU currently, but we know that the processes that they affect are similar, right? So if you exercise, you're gonna affect cardiovascular function. That's gonna promote health. And if you take choline, it actually has the ability to regulate, for example, glucose levels, which is important because you don't want to progress to diabetes, risk factor for Alzheimer's disease.
Interesting. Okay, how do you know know you're not getting enough choline?
See, that is the number one question that we always get. There's no test that you can go and routinely get.
No blood test?
Right. There is a blood test, but you have to request it, right? So you can go to your doctor and say, can I measure the amount of choline levels that I have? The way that we get around that is by doing dietary questionnaires. We can actually give you a dietary questionnaire, and we can estimate the amount of choline that you're actually consuming, right? But most Americans, one, do not know what choline is, right? Usually when I give seminars, I ask, who knows what choline is? About 10% of individuals raise their hand. They know what it is. 90% of Americans are deficient in choline. That means they're not getting the recommended daily intake amount that they need.
If 90% of Americans are deficient, and we've seen just this increase in Alzheimer's, which obviously has something to do with lifespans and increasing lifespans, I mean, that alone suggests something's going on.
Yeah, I think what this suggests is that choline is a component that we need to be attuned to in order to try to deter from disorders like Alzheimer's disease. I think, but I think once again, going back to the combination of factors, right? It's not just choline; it's a combination such as, do you get enough exercise? Are you cognitively engaged? Right? We were just having a conversations about how to crossword puzzles actually activate areas of your brain that can actually promote what's called cognitive resilience. That causes a buffer, so when a disease like Alzheimer's disease hits, your neurons, which are the cells in your brain that produce our behaviors, can kind of remove those so they don't actually overtake your behaviors.
This is really interesting because, again, choline, I'm thinking, just talking chlorine, you're talking about my swimming pool here,
right.
And most people just haven't heard about it, and it's so important. Again, Ramon Velasquez, great information.
Thank you so
much. Good to have you here, and good to see you again.
Always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. That's it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
When you want to be more informed, Arizona PBS delivers news and analysis with multiple perspectives, thanks to financial support from you and